The girl woke up to find herself completely out of control, plummeting into a bottomless abyss. She tried to struggle, but it was in vain. Her body kept spinning freely in midair. When she opened her eyes in confusion, she realized she was hanging upside down at an altitude of 10,000 meters. At that moment, Amelia desperately wished she was dreaming, but one look at the terrifying scene below made her understand that this was nothing but wishful thinking. Forcing herself to suppress the rising panic, she knew what she needed most now was calm. Once her brain began to work, Amelia shouted loudly to her companions nearby, but after a long wait, no response came. She knew then she could not rely on others. Her only hope was self-rescue. Suddenly, a spark of inspiration struck her. She began swinging her body repeatedly, then with all her strength kicked toward a frame in front of her. She planned to use the momentum to swing herself like on a trapeze toward the basket. After grabbing hold of the basket and catching her breath, Amelia managed to climb inside. However, before she could celebrate, she noticed a man lying on the ground. Alarmed, she rushed to his side, calling his name over and over, but her voice was like pebbles sinking into the sea. Just as she was about to accept that her companion was dead, the man miraculously woke up. He had merely passed out due to lack of oxygen. At that moment, the hot air balloon was drifting at an altitude of 7,000 meters, and they had already been floating for over an hour. Relieved to have survived, the two began discussing what they had gained from this adventure. But then, Ishri suddenly noticed something strange. Snowflakes in the air had inexplicably stopped moving. Anyone with common sense would know that this meant the hot air balloon was dropping at an alarming speed. If this continued, they would be smashed to pieces upon landing. They immediately started throwing useless items overboard to lighten the load. But the small reduction in weight was nowhere near enough to slow their descent. Seeing Amelia at a loss, the man finally realized the truth. The heaviest burden wasn't the junk they had thrown away. Resolving himself, he ordered Amelia to climb on top of the basket. Pulling out a knife, he joined her, and once they were both lying firmly on the circular frame, he cut the ropes connecting the basket. The basket, now just dead weight, dropped away. With the last rope severed, their descent slowed noticeably, but even at this reduced speed, a safe landing was still impossible. Sensing the danger, the experienced Amelia prepared to sacrifice herself to lighten the load further. Seeing her about to act recklessly, the man couldn't stay silent. He told her that if anything happened to her, he would live the rest of his life in guilt. In that moment of crisis, his mind worked rapidly to find a solution. Then, he looked up at the balloon above and was struck with an idea. In Amelia's shocked gaze, he slashed the rope securing the hot air balloon itself. The balloon transformed into a giant parachute, and under the blessing of fortune, they successfully completed what seemed an impossible challenge. Not only did they survive, but they also proved that extreme altitudes can cause low temperatures and oxygen deprivation, filling in a crucial gap in human knowledge.